Hello, this is the fourth slide that I'm going to talk about here. The intent of this presentation is to make you aware of how can we create a science learning environment. We have seen that in the curriculum development, the all the emphasis has been taken into care how the science to be taught, and it is all depends on the teachers who try to implement. There are beautiful ideas in the curriculum development. In the process, it has been incorporated, but how well it can be brought into the classroom. So one of the ways is to enhance the science learning environment by by developing scientific learning environment. So here we are going to see that how the science can be taught in the schools, how the science environment should look in the school. All right, to begin with, now let's look at how our science environment should look like. We will be able to create. These are the things where the things can be done in the schools, like creating a science learning environment. We try to teach students in the classrooms. We try to talk the ecosystems. We talk about the freshwater ecosystem, pond ecosystem. But these can be done very well when you can take your students outside, create a pond, and then learn about that, and then see how the environment looks like practically. So this is why science is not all about sitting in a place and then try to imagine, but we need to do practically. So in these schools, we can have eco ponds that can artificially created ponds that helps the teachers and students to relate the biology concept, whatever they learn can be can be easily interpreted by going through those real ponds, and how the life interacts within that. So this kind of a facility provides a unique values and opportunity for the children to investigate their functions, how the waters, how different resources are so important. Right, so this is how, just look at that. This is the artificial pond just created in the school environment. This is another way of creating a ponds, and then this is very interesting way that some you can make your uh, especially invertebrates can be very well breed within this ecosystem. Likewise, we can also create a learning environment by bringing certain facilities into the into the schools or into the classroom. One of the very prominent facilities that is needed in the school is the laboratory. If there is a science laboratory itself is an indicator that children are learning science, and then scientific skills, scientific values, scientific way of collecting data and interpreting data and making observation. So we must have a science laboratory, so that as soon as the children see, they feel it. Oh, there is an experiment. There is a place for us to collect data. There is a place for us to clarify our misconceptions through hands-on. So this is why even if our labs are not well equipped, however, we need to have, even in the primary schools, we should have a lab, so that you children would be able to do some experiment within the lab. Okay. Now the creating scientific, again another way of creating scientific learning environment is creating a science corner. It can be within a classroom or can be outside the classroom, but there must be some space where children can bring in the live experiments, or some kind of the plants growing, and with that there is a certain leveling and certain things, the experiment is going on, and then people can come and then see and learn. This kind of activity actually allows the students to explore and then see, make an observation. Observation is one of the very important skills in biology. People see things but they never observe. What we need to be is, as a bio teachers, we need to be more careful in seeing things, and that is called observation. When you walk around, you should be able to observe, not to see. So which means you should have a deeper, careful observation, looking to the particular phenomenon. Okay, so this can be life experiment can be brought into the small corner display for all the people. Even it can be live or can be model species, anything, bring and then give them a life. Some people even make a collections of different types of rocks or the stones, and give them a different levels. That actually helps the people to learn about the name of the stones, or they will be able to classify the stones. Such kind of things can be happen in a small corner where people come, watch, observe, explore and learn. So that is a science corner. Okay, then sorry okay, now science club. Every school must have a science club, so that this club is mainly to the advocate the science activities. These group would be able to talk about the science and discoveries that is happening in, this club must be able to explain the scientific happenings around some new inventions, or new discoveries. Such things can be uh, uh, shared through the club, science club, and then this becomes one of the interesting ways to share the scientific skills and knowledge to other peoples. Likewise, there is a nature shelf. We call it like a books, which call a bookshelf. Similarly, if you want to children to learn about some natures, like butterfly, animals, or the plants from different regions, you can try to bring things, and then you can preserve it for learning. So sometime people in the like north, they have never seen a buffalo, and people who are in the south has never seen yak. These are two extreme animals that live in north and south. So such kind of things, even if you cannot bring whole yak itself to keep there, but why can't we bring a model of yak to the southern region, and yet buffalo in the northern region. So this kind of bringing models, bringing live specimens and preserve it for future learning, and this helps our children to learn science better. So this kind of nature self, we call it nature self. All right, and this can be also it can go for the exhibitions. This is what you call, this is a little garden. This kind of garden can be encouraged in the schools. Okay. Now again, the science excursions or the field trip. if you want to take our children to some of the outside the classrooms and make them learn and bring this idea and debate into the classroom, this is how the science has to be learned. Not something which you try to imagine and then learn within the classroom. So field trips really helps the children to go and see in the original states. Okay, then the science bulletin board. Uh, for the science students, they need to share the information they have learned in the classrooms and then display it for all the people to read through. So there should be a proper bulletin board for the children to display their explorative work to be displayed on the boards. It can be any write-ups about a particular topic they have learned, or can be some experience they have gained while working from one place to another. It can be as simple as their observation as well. Okay, so this may be displayed on the bulletin board so that everybody gets, and this gives an idea of how to communicate to the community and publish their work. Okay, then aquariums. Aquarium is setting is one of the best way to teach children the behavior of the animals that is found in the water. For example, to study about the behavior of the animals, when we say that animal has got a streamlined body, is so challenging for us to actually imagine how the streamlined body is. But in fact, if you see the fish itself, if you say streamlined body, then you understand is a flat and tapering two ends. Okay, tapering two ends. So this is how children makes out, and this is why the aquarium setting aquariums, making natural aquariums in the laboratory is very, very, very important. When children try to set the aquarium on their own, they will understand what is required for the animals to live, and how animals live, what is needed, what is not needed, and what precautionary measure has to be taken. So this is why aquarium for any animals like fish can be give a warmery for the earthworm. These are very, very important, that we create a certain environment for the animals to live life, and this is used for the study. It can be, we can find out their nature, the behavior, the environments like a temperature, pH, and then any other nutrients required by that animals. Now, weather stations, which is very common in the schools. Weather stations, we must, as a science teacher, we need to always think about to have one at least weather station, because weather station talks about the weather conditions. For such recording is very important to collect the data. Weather condition today, how much is the rainfall, what is the maximum temperature, what is minimum temperature, and if you are able to collect for months and months, you will be able to predict the weather condition for next month, or even for what happens with the 30 years later. If you can collect 5 years, then you will be able to predict for another next 5 years. So such kind of interpretations, data collection can be done, have a lot of opportunity when you have a weather station. Now, classroom. Can this classroom be modified to suit the appropriately suit to teach science? Yes, this is what we saw in Bhutan. In every classroom, there is a compartment of biology, chemistry, physics, maths, accounts. So in such in the classrooms where there is a biology corner, chemistry corner and science corner, this is what it means. Any practical works, any activities children do within the classroom must come under the particular section. So when we are doing some activities related to biology activity must be done under the biology corner. So this is what it means. It is similar to board or the, because in our case in classrooms people compartmentalize the old wall into different section, and that's how children try to put articles, write some discussions on this. Okay. Now this is the materials and equipments. This is basically improvised materials. All the scientific materials are not available for the primary schools. However, teachers need to encourage our children to get some of the equipment, some of the basic scientific apparatus that are useful for the children's learning. Bringing blocks, bringing the some glasswares would be useful for actually for the children. Even the magnet, that reduce magnets which is thrown away actually, so they can collect and bring and then learn about the magnets. That is a simple example. So anything that is useful can be brought into the classrooms and then store it for learning. So this is one way of improvising the materials and equipments. Now already I have talked about the improvisations. Improvisations is any unwanted materials but wanted for use for learning. That is what I said is the radio magnets is so useful for learning, but after once the radio is spoiled, people throw away. So such kind of materials, any materials that you need, even the mirrors, the car vehicle mirrors can be brought into the classroom. So these different kinds of things can be, even the pet bottles. So we can improvise things and brought into the classroom for teaching learning. Finally, this is for perishable materials, like perishable, material that gets like fruits and vegetables, seeds. These are some of the things that, especially for the primary children to learn about the plant, they need to bring all those materials. And they can also bring about the fruits, vegetables, but such things really encourage the children to learn from the real, the things that exist around us. So these are all different ways that we can enhance our teaching learning by creating scientific learning environment. I hope you will be able to incorporate all these different methods of teaching science in the classrooms and bring into practice. Thank you.